You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. So stoked to have you here. Really excited about this episode. This is Joel's third appearance on the podcast, and it might be his best one yet. If you want more information about Chase Bliss as a company and their origin story and all that, go back to the first couple. They're a few years old, but they're still relevant as far as all that's concerned. This is more like two buddies catching up who haven't caught up in a while. And man, I gotta say, it was a real treat. And I can't wait to have him back again sometime, hopefully with not such a big gap in between, because it was just a delight. Anyhow, little house cleaning before we get started. I want to talk about the 30 videos in 30 days I'm currently doing on YouTube. So if you go to The Tone Mob on YouTube, you can check out those videos. I've already done a bunch of them. I think by the time you hear this, there will be 7. The podcast will probably come out before the 7th YouTube video, but there's 6 videos. They're all different. The response has been overwhelmingly nice, and hopefully you can enjoy them too. So if you go to YouTube and subscribe over there, I'm actually putting in a real effort this time. I know I've said that before, but it's really happening this time. I'm really giving this whole YouTube thing a shot. I know that I should have been doing it years ago, but, you know, life happens. So I'm doing it now, and I'm doing it hard. So please go there, subscribe, check out the things, give me some feedback, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. That's the only way I know what to make. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this podcast with Joel Korte from Chase Bliss Audio. Boom. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff sometimes, occasionally. With me today, I have Mr. Joel Korte from Chase Bliss Audio.
Hi, buddy.
He's back. I'm so happy that you're back. This is amazing.
This is my third time on the show.
This is your third time on the show, and the first time you've been on since I've been not at work and recording.
Oh,
the other 2 times I was
okay.
Yeah, I was in a fuel lab recording with you. The other times, and now I'm in the shred shed staring at a screen, wondering why I'm not in Minnesota. Really,
so everything makes sense now. Everything is better.
Yes.
Except for the global pandemic. That's not better.
Well, that's not better. No, that's not.
Because this is the first time I've been on the podcast since the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of pandemics.
Yeah,
as it turns out, I'd never been through one before myself, but it turns out I don't like it.
Nobody really has, not even old people.
Not even cantankerous people. They're not happy with it.
They don't even know what to do.
No. And if the old people don't know what to do, then what are we going to do? We're just here trying to pick up the pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how have you been? It's been, has it been 2 years since you've been on? It feels like it's been 2 years, which seems insane.
It's been a while. I would like to know, is there anybody that has more appearances than me?
There's one person.
I'm competitive.
Yeah, there's one person.
Okay.
His name, and I think you'll be okay with it, though, because it's Jay Leonard J.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. I can live with that. There was going to be one person.
He's been on, I think, 4 times. I'd have to go back and check. He's done a couple. He's done his main interview. He did another one just for kicks, and then he's done a couple NAMM recaps with me. So he's done 4, I think.
Great.
So, but you're otherwise
Great.
it's you and I don't think anyone else is. Oh, Ryan from Yellow Cake has been on 3 times, but that was quite a while ago.
Okay. If he was on 4 times, that would upset me.
He
so
hasn't.
I'm glad
been on
that
4 times.
I'm glad that we're just tied and he's not ahead of me.
I don't want you to be upset. I feel like you'd do something like the Hulk, like you wouldn't like me when I'm angry type of thing.
Anyway, how am I? I'm actually doing pretty good at the moment. We hired 4 employees last month, so that's pretty wild.
Whoa.
Yeah. We're having normally our pedals are made in California, which has been problematic to say the least. And I decided to bring more production in-house. So we're going to make more of the things. And turns out there's a lot of out of work sound engineers, live sound engineers that have the skills we're looking for.
Well, that I guess worked out oddly in your favor then, didn't it?
Well, hopefully they'll have the option to go back to their other line of work at some point. But maybe they'll like this job so much that they won't want to. We'll see.
I feel like the environment there is probably, based on the videos that I've seen, outside of you trying to be an undercover boss and whatnot, it's probably pretty friendly.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, we've like doubled our workforce in the last month, so that's weird. But I think everybody's kind of liking having more control under our own roof.
Yeah, that makes some sense.
Yeah, roof.
So
it's
interesting.
Roof? How do you say that word?
Well, I am a hillbilly, so I say roof a lot. I say crick sometimes, even though I know that's not what you're supposed to say. But it's just part of my DNA at this point. Can't really do much about it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Everybody knows what I meant. I don't know how to say some words. I don't even really know how you say my last name.
So you don't even know how you say your last name?
I don't.
Okay, that explains a lot.
I asked my dad one time, and I was like, "Is it Korte or Korte?" And he said he thought I just said the same thing twice in a row. He didn't recognize that there was a difference. So he's like, "What are you joking?" No, I'm like, "Do you say it like with a D or with a T?" Anyway, I digress.
So it's not an A. I always said Korte, so that's not right either.
Well, it's definitely not. It's definitely not that, as far as I know. But I mean, if I don't really know, maybe it is Korte.
Oh, I've been saying Korte. Well, now I won't do that anymore.
It was a nice way for me to differentiate between college friends and high school friends, because high school friends would say Korte and college friends would say Korte. So if I ever forgot who was who, I could just ask them to say my last name.
I see. So I was a college friend.
Yes.
I gotcha. But no more. Now you're gonna think we went to high school together. Sure that's exactly how it's gonna work. So that fact that you have increased your workforce so much, it tells people a lot of things. I think people have a perception of a lot of gear companies, and maybe yours especially, that they're much larger than what they actually are. Because I think people would assume that hiring 4 employees would not increase your workforce by 50%. They might think it increased it by 2%. And I don't know. I think that's the case for almost every gear company. They're almost all much smaller than what I think public perception is. What do you think about that?
I wonder why that is. Do you have any theories?
My only thing I can think of, and I was talking with Ryan at Fuzzrocious about this, is because people were asking about his employees and stuff too, and he's like, I don't have any employees. Like I have 0 employees. I think it's because they see these like follower counts, on Instagram or whatever, and they just kind of assume that that's how it is, you know? I mean, I routinely get like, you know, if somebody like will refer to the Tone Mob Instagram, they'll be like, "Thanks, guys." I'm like, "It's just me. I'm just here by myself. Like, no one else is here. No one else is running the thing." So I think it has to do with social media follower counts, but also that can't be entirely the story either. It must just be like public perception in general, because I think people thought that like Mesa Boogie was really a large company in the 90s. And from what I can see in their factory videos and stuff, they're not tiny, but they're not huge. They're not this huge behemoth.
I think maybe people, like guitar pedal industry, just as just the total revenue that it generates is really small compared to other industries, relatively, I think. I mean, you could say that about anything, I guess. It's like relative to what, but I think that because it's quite small, then if people are like somewhat well known in the industry, then people kind of assume, well, hey, that's like a, you know, they have X amount of employees or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I've said to people in the past, it's like your average, like small to medium sized construction company locally is probably bigger than these pedal companies. Like your local plumber, if you see a plumber that you see on a regular basis, like Steve's Plumbing Company, and he's got like 4 vans, he's probably running a larger operation than most guitar anything companies for the most part.
What kind of scares me though is and I read Bob Taylor's book. It's called Guitar Lessons, I think, and it's about his journey with starting Taylor guitars and everything. And he talks about a point. For some reason, this is the part of the book I just remember super well. There's other stuff I remember too, but he's like, after you get past like 12 employees, things start to get weird. Because like when your 12 employees are under, this is my interpretation of it. And obviously I'm paraphrasing, and you should not think this is what Bob Taylor actually said. This is what I remember from years after reading it. But when you have 12 or under employees, it's like you can get away with things not being perfect because it's a small company and people have access to the owner and can talk to him whenever they want. And it's like, you know, maybe there's not an HR department, but like you can just go talk to the owner of the company if there's a problem, you know. But then like once you kind of break past that threshold, it just you kind of lose something, and you have to be more of a real company or something. That was my interpretation of it. So I'm worried now that I'm approaching that threshold, the Bob Taylor threshold. And I think he has hundreds and hundreds of employees now, but
yeah, I mean, at one point I think I read that Taylor Guitars was pumping out like 600 guitars a day. So yeah, I'm assuming he's got a lot of people. Mm-hmm. No, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to talk about, especially in the guitar world. I don't know if this is supposed to be public knowledge, so I won't name names, but there's a large figure in the guitar world who talked to a smaller guy that I know, and he told him, "I wish I would have stayed small," which is interesting. And his reasoning behind that was he didn't get. It's not like he made more money personally, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I made a bunch more income. He's like, my company grew, my wage basically stayed the same, and I had more headaches, which was really an interesting perspective.
Tell me off the record who that is?
I sure can.
Okay.
I don't know if that person wants this to be public knowledge, so I would refrain from saying it publicly. But I'll tell you off the record. But yeah, and so I thought that was an interesting perspective. And then I look at somebody like Analog Mike, right? Mm-hmm. He's got demand that he knows he could scale up and meet, but he talked about it on his episode when he came on, like he has stayed the size that he is intentionally. You know, he's got guys that have worked for him for 10 plus years. Everybody's, you know, making a living wage, and, you know, he can race Porsches on the weekend. You know, like he's happy. He doesn't want to scale up to meet that demand at a huge headache-inducing production scale. And that, I mean, I'm again paraphrasing what he said, but people can go back and listen to his episode if they want the exact details. But that's more or less how he viewed it. There is a benefit to staying. You need to grow, right? You need to grow to a certain point. But I often wonder for small business owners if there's some benefit to staying in that sub 12 employee level.
I think so. Right now, including me, we have 10, and I really like this size because, like, yesterday, I just never showed up to work, and like, it just wasn't like no one texted me, or, you know, it was like they all know what to do. They probably had some questions, or like, oh, I guess Joel's not here today, but it's not like it's not like things fall apart or anything. It's just fine. And then also with this amount of people, if someone goes on vacation or is sick, we can absorb that. When we had 3 or 4 people, if someone went on a vacation for a week or 2 weeks or went on a tour or something, it's like, this is problematic, you know, because that's like 25% of the company is gone. Like, how do we manage this? So it's nice when you get this number of people, you know, obviously you don't want everyone taking vacation at the same time, but it's like easier to work around. And I don't know, we'll see how long we can do this for, because it feels kind of good. Hello. I think I might be experiencing.
I didn't realize I had to cough, and I didn't realize I had muted myself. I thought I had unmuted, and I didn't click hard enough.
That was very courteous of you. I'm drinking I'm drinking coffee and beer right now, and it's really working for me. I just wanted you to know that.
You're doing both.
Yeah,
simultaneously.
I mean, it's 1:00 here, so it's not as bad as if you were doing this, which would be it's 11:17 in California, or no, wait, Oregon. Sorry, it's all the same, right? And
it's all the same. Wait a minute.
Just kidding. You know,
coffee and beer. What kind of coffee? What kind of beer?
So I got the coffee from a Holiday gas station this morning, and it's just, you know, I've been heating it up every so often. It's still pretty warm right now. And then the beer it was the last decent beer in the fridge. It's a Bauhaus Brew Lab Stargazer Black Lager. So our drinking policy at work is that I like to have everyone have all the employees. Well, the new guys don't yet, but I like to have all the employees have credit cards so they can just get LaCroix or beer, whatever, and just keep the fridge stocked. And you can drink beer whenever you want, but you just can't get drunk. Or that's, you know, it's like, don't get drunk is like the rule. But see, this is a thing where if we had like 30 employees, I'm pretty sure this policy wouldn't fly, you know?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I
mean,
right now it's okay.
So I was just wondering if you were taking applications.
Not right now. Since we hired 4 people last month, I gotta pump the brakes.
Oh man. Well, the policy around here is similar. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. All of my employees that I have here respect that policy, and they do the same thing, basically.
Good. So and your employees are like your dog, and I'm assuming
I don't have one of those.
Well, you don't have a dog. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't have a dog.
You like live out in a low-key rural area. You should have a dog.
I can't have a dog because
no, you need a dog. You need a dog. I don't have a dog, but you need one. You look like a dog person.
I can't have a dog.
Why?
Are
you allergic?
Okay, let me explain. No, let me explain to you my situation with animals. So,
all right.
I've had two animals. Well, I've had a couple animals in my life, but two specifically since I've been an adult. So one was my family dog Tonka, which lived at my parents' house, but he was, the family dog, and everybody loved him. And he died, and I was very, very upset. Obviously, I also had a hedgehog for a while that lived at my house, and his name was Pacino, and we would watch movies together, and he would crawl on me, and he died, and I was super, super, super sad. And I realized that, like, and this is a good thing, but I have a big family, and they all live relatively close to me, and so I've experienced a lot of death as a result of that. I had 11 parents and grandparents when I was born, like greats and greats, and most of them lived locally. And so there's a picture of me as a baby with like all of these people, and they're all my family.
Like
so all I say is
to get a pet.
No, hold on.
Okay.
Basically, I don't want to experience any more death than necessary, and so I don't want to get another dog and get attached and go through the whole old Yeller thing again. It's just not. I don't want to do it to myself.
All right, I'm gonna read you a quote here by C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
All right. Here it is. Okay. Here's the quote: "To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable." End quote. You need to get a f***ing dog. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what's up with me today. I really apologize. I'm full of the Dickens. You're fine, Blake. You don't need a dog. It's everything.
I did not expect this to go this way. You're not the only one recently trying to talk me into getting a dog. This is a weird thing.
I don't even have a dog.
I have kids. I don't need a dog.
Yeah. Okay.
CS was directing that at people who don't have.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what I was trying to say. Is like I got so many things that I love.
Yeah.
I don't need. If I have one more thing, I might just break altogether.
I get it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I was out of line. I'm embarrassed.
You're out of line, Korte. You're out of line.
Anyway,
so I told everybody that was amazing. Actually, thank you for that. So I posted in the Tone Mob Facebook group that I was going to be talking to you. What I specifically said was, I'm recording with Joel here in a bit. What should we talk about, and why is it aliens? That's what I said. So I do want to talk to you about aliens. There's a bunch of other questions that we have in the group, or statements, or various things. But first, I want to talk to you about aliens. Okay. Because it seems like a subject that you might have some input on. I don't know.
Indeed, I do.
So 2020 has been a crazy year, right? We've seen a lot of things that are bad. We've seen a lot of things that are good. We've seen some things that are unprecedented in good and bad ways. But one of the things that we have seen is that Tom DeLonge was right. That's one of the things that we've seen. And nobody seems to want to talk about the fact that the government said that they have craft that they don't know where it came from. Not saying it's aliens, but they've admitted that they have things that they don't know the origin of, and I don't know why nobody's talking about it.
Here's my take on it. I very much want to believe that those are alien spacecraft. I really want to believe that, but I also wonder what the likelihood is that Donald Trump wouldn't talk about it if that were the case. Because I'm a one issue voter, aliens. And
Okay.
like if
aliens,
yeah,
right?
if we're gonna, if either candidate is gonna, kind of talk about aliens and maybe give us some more information on aliens or alien spacecraft, like I'm listening, and I'm probably not the only one. So, but it makes me skeptical that is alien spacecraft, because I feel like Trump would talk about it a lot because he just seems like it.
So here's my thing.
Okay.
I don't think the presidents know as much as we think they know.
Okay.
Because like there are people in the government who have been in positions of not necessarily power, some of them power, but positions to know things for a lot longer than any one sitting president. And I think those people are tasked with whether or not they need to reveal certain things to said president.
But
or
wouldn't
not.
that be a great opportunity for Trump to be like, I exposed the deep state? I think there's it would. And I think,
But if he,
sorry, go ahead. Don't want to interrupt you.
I was gonna say, but if he can't do it, so like, say you're Joel and you're in charge of the secrets of the aliens,
Sure.
and that it's like a matter of public safety that you keep this under wraps, at least for now, right? And you have been given special clearances and all that jazz, and you're like, I'm the keeper of alien secrets. And Trump comes up to you and is like, hey, Joel, tell me about the aliens. Wouldn't you think that you would have something in place to be like, well, listen, Mr. Trump, we have no evidence of alien spacecraft. Here's what we do have. Let me show you everything. And this is, that's just what it is, man.
It's like, who watches the Watchmen? It's like who's in charge of the alien secrets then? Like, who gets to make that decision about whether or not it's in the best interest of the public, if not the president?
I think you do. I think you were put into that position by, I don't know, Eisenhower or something. It just
seems like, and I don't know, like that just seems like,
we know there's stuff the president doesn't know. We know that for a fact. There's things going on in the CIA that the president's not hip to. Yeah. He doesn't know.
Well, then who's in charge?
Nobody's in charge. We're on a spinning rocks hurtling through space at some bazillion miles an hour. No one's in charge, Joel.
All right. I guess
nobody.
Yeah. It certainly feels like that sometimes, or most of the time. Okay. Fair enough.
So now that we got that established, your theory is if there were more alien stuff that Trump would have told us about it, which I do see that.
I mean, I also get where you're coming from too, but okay, I'll say this. If the president is privy to this information, I think we would know it by now. So
okay, I agree with that.
So maybe I want to believe.
I want to believe too.
Okay.
X-Files instilled that in me at a young age. Thanks, Mulder and Scully. All right, let's scroll through some of these questions here. Let's see what we got. Well, some of them are not really questions; they're just statements. So, Andrew Renard, he who also has a podcast called Get Offset. I was on it. People should go check that out. He said, "I said, what should I talk about?" And he says, "Psychedelics, probably." And I was like, "Huh, that's a fair point." I don't have a lot of input to offer on that, but obviously you were involved with a pedal that just had a psychedelic right in the old name.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Can you talk about that project a little bit more?
Totally. Oh man, that release was a huge bummer. Actually, if you'd have talked to me this time last week, I'd probably be all bummed out about it. But basically, this friend of mine, like 4 or 5 years ago, I guess it was 5 years ago now, had this idea. He's like, oh, I love it. Well, no, it started like this. And I hope I'm getting this right. he's like, could you make a special gravitas for me that the rate goes faster, like almost like audio range. So it does almost like ring modi stuff. And I was like, sure. And I tried it on a gravitas, and it, the elements on that kind of don't respond quick enough, so it doesn't sound good, and the volume just kind of gets cut down. It's like not choppy enough. So then I was kind of interested, and I was like, well, I'm going to mod it to make it choppier. So I did that, and he was like, man, this is awesome. And he put his favorite fuzz in front of it, and he said, we should make a pedal out of this. And I was like, I don't know. And he had this idea for a company called Abracadabra Audio, and I love this guy. So I was like, you're probably the only person in the world I'd do this for, just because you're crazy and I love you. And so we did it. And so the reason it was called ayahuasca is that and I've never taken ayahuasca. He has taken it a bunch, and he said that this was a sound that he felt like the super fast, choppy fuzz tremolo was a sound that he associated with one of his experiences. And he's the type of guy too that it's not like he's one of these, like, Silicon Valley people that this is like the hip new drug to try for wellness or whatever. And he's just doing that. Like, he was actually going down to South America and, researching different shamans and stuff like that. And I feel kind of bad, especially now with everything that happened, and which I'll get into in a second, that I don't know more about it, because I feel like I should. But he associated the sound with those experiences. So we released like 10 of them 4 years ago. They sold, Chase Bliss was a way different company back then, and they sold in a few hours or something, but it was like 10 pedals. So, and it was a limited edition thing. We did a little video with knobs. And then we wanted to make them kind of special and hand painted, which is just hard to find different people to paint stuff. We had Hannah Hallberg, who used to work with me at ZVEX. She painted like 4 runs, I think. And then we had some other people. We did some acid etching with Jack Nelson from Dropping Acid Pedal Etching. Oh, there's another nice drug reference.
I was going to say, hey, there's another one.
And then I originally ordered 200 circuit boards for this thing. And to be honest, like, it's a cool pedal. It has some cool sounds, but it's not my favorite pedal. And so I never wanted to make a ton of them, because I just, like, it's a cool pedal, but I just don't want to make a lot of them, because it's not like, I don't want to say negative things about it, because it's a cool pedal. It makes cool sounds, but I just don't think it's our best pedal. And so we had parts to make 100 more, and we were having trouble finding people to paint. And I was like, let's just do one more run of 100, because we'd made 100 up to that point with just like silkscreen. We'll charge a little bit less for them, because they were going for crazy prices on Reverb, and we'll just call it done. It'll be fun. We'll do some art for it, and we'll just do silkscreen, and then we'll be done. And it'll just be a fun little thing. And man, people got really mad about it. They got real mad.
They sure did.
Yeah, they did. And so it was a bummer. It made me sad. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
My observations on it were like, this is one of the strangest things I've ever seen to get mad about.
Yeah, especially in 2020, for crying out loud. There's a lot of genuine things to be upset about. Regardless of who you are, there's things to get mad about that are not guitar pedals.
And I wonder if some of it is just the boil over from the stress and the real stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm still mad. Like, I'm mad, and I'm not done being mad, and I found something else to be mad about. Like, maybe it's that.
but even like since we're going through these changes with the company, with hiring all these people and bringing more production in house, one of the guys I do a lot of videos with recently moved back to Minnesota from Arizona. He was like, "Hey, do you have any work for me?" And I was like, "Actually, I think we should shoot some videos of this. This is kind of an interesting thing. I think Chase Bliss customers would be wanting to know about, is how the company's changing and how we're doing more stuff in house. Like, let's try to document that." And he sent me the first draft of like an episode yesterday, and it had, because we were building ayahuascas while he was here, and I was like, "Dude, just cut all that out. Like, I'm just done with it. Like, I don't want to deal with." But it just sucks because he's like, "Oh no, that stuff's cool," and like it was cool to have that part where they're building it, and I was like, "No, I'm done. I don't want to remind people
That chapter's over. Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
that's fair enough. Well, thanks for telling your side of that story.
If you
'cause
have
I'm-
any more questions, let me know. It's kind of like, it's not even that interesting,
I mean, I already knew all of
Yeah.
that, so I don't personally have any
Okay.
more questions, and that was really kind of just a
Yeah.
general thing.
Mhm.
But let's get into some of the other things. Here's a random
Okay.
one that I'm going to be curious because I don't know anything about this. Sonia Quartzleaf, she says, thoughts on the Space Aliens Bar and Grill out by the Outlet Mall? He'll know.
Oh, I definitely know all about that place.
What is this place?
This person must know where I live because it's pretty close to my
She
house.
lives where you. She lives in that same neck of the woods.
But yeah, have you ever heard?
I just know that because we've emailed before.
You've heard of the Space Aliens restaurant chain, right? Or is that like a regional thing?
It must be a regional thing. I don't know anything about it.
Okay. I thought they were all over the place. But yeah, there's this restaurant chain called Space Aliens, and it's weird in there. It is kind of weird. Yeah. I mean, there's like a game area, where you can kind of play different games and win tickets to get really cheap prizes. And then they serve mediocre food. I would say, yeah, it's pretty average. Like, I would eat there right now. It's fine, I think. But we've been in there a couple times with my kids, and they loved it. They had a great time, but they're both kind of scared of some of the aliens around. Oh, she probably brought it up because of you kind of brought up the whole alien, the theme. But yeah,
Right. I'm sure that's
it's a
why.
restaurant, it's a bar, it's a grill. They got games, you can win prizes, and there's some weird alien stuff around that kind of scares my kids.
Okay. That sounds like a alien version of Chuck E.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Yes, totally.
fair to say?
Chuck E. Cheese. So at Space Aliens, there's more focus on the food and less focus on the games. And at Chuck E. Cheese, I would say there's more focus on the games and slightly less focus on the food.
Which, at Chuck E. Cheese, it's probably for good reason.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Although I don't think Chuck E. Cheese food I would also eat that and have eaten that. I'll kind of eat anything though. It's kind of sad.
I haven't ate Chuck E. Cheese probably since I was a kid. I guess I should
was
reserve
better.
judgment. Maybe it's all right.
I feel like it's the kind. Have you had Domino's recently?
Not recently, but I have had them since they changed. It was like what, maybe like 8 years
yeah.
ago when they were like, listen, we hear you. Our pizza is bad and we have changed.
So I had Domino's a couple weeks ago and it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And
That's how I would classify it.
Yeah. I felt like Chuck E. Cheese was kind of a similar. Yeah, no, it wasn't as good as this new Domino's. I mean, this is all bad food. Let's
We're not going to sugarcoat it.
But
Yes.
yeah. But it's edible.
All right. I feel like we've covered.
You can eat it.
You can, it won't kill you immediately.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've covered that chain enough. That sounds pretty fun. I would like to visit that place one day. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, this is a long question. Let me read this real quick. Okay, Drew Lopez says, it's very clear that CVA pedals have a multitude of tweakability between all the parameters and knobs on the pedal face and the dip switches. The possibilities appear to be...
Quick question.
Yes.
My beer's gone. Should I get a seltzer, an alcoholic seltzer, or just call it good? It's 140.
What are you planning
It's
on
your call.
doing the rest of the day?
I got a little bit of work to do on a pedal, but it's easy stuff.
Okay. Then you should probably get a seltzer.
All right, just give me a second. I'll be right back.
All right. All right. Joel's migrating to the fridge. This is great podcasting right here. He's grabbing a seltzer. You can hear the din of Chase Bliss employees enjoying their pedals and beer, which is apparently a thing they do there. Okay, I hear him. He's coming back now.
All right. I got a black cherry White Claw.
Oh, right. There ain't no laws when you're drinking claws.
Nope, not a one.
I was narrating your journey to the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
For the listeners.
Yeah, it's actually it's really, really quite close. So.
Oh, all right. So I'll go back to the question if you're comfy and ready.
Sorry for interrupting. I'm ready now. Yep.
Okay, here we go. Drew Lopez, he says, it's very clear that CBA pedals have a multitude of tweakability between all the parameters and knobs in the pedal face and then the dip switches. The possibilities appear to be endless, not to mention a little intimidating. My question being, which of the time-based or modulation units would Joel consider to be the most approachable as a first Chase Bliss pedal? I haven't a thought on that, but I would like to hear your personal take on it.
My personal favorite right now is a discontinued pedal because it doesn't sell. Is Womb Tone. I don't know. There's just something about a phaser in, especially because I usually when I'm playing right now, it's with my band, and I just love that pedal for that, for a live context. But I think they're all kind of equally complex in a way, I think. I mean, maybe you could say Gravitas, the tremolo, just because sometimes it's easier for people to wrap their head around, volume modulation, tremolo, rather than pitch modulation or phasing. So I'm not answering his question. I just think I just like Womb Tone right now.
All right. I would say, based on my personal experience, I haven't played everything that you've made, but quite a bit of it. I think the most approachable is actually Dark World, because you can just get right into
said
it.
Modulation specifically, right?
Oh, you said or
question.
time-based.
Oh, or time-based. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree that if you separate it and think about it like two reverb pedals, that I think that's people can wrap their head around it pretty quickly.
To me, it's the most instantly usable one. The Keeley side is very straightforward, and then you can start blending in the Cooper effects side as you get it figured out. And I think it's the most immediately plug in, and most people can understand this.
I agree.
Without reading the manual type of thing. You should read the manual.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here because you're right and I was wrong. It is Dark World.
All right, we'll go with the Dark World.
That's the correct answer.
Never question me again. How dare you?
I won't. But get a dog.
I gotta get a dog. I'm not getting a dog. I'm not getting a dog till my kids make me get a dog.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got in here? This would be a fun one to talk about. And it's not really a question, but Tom Kelly, he just wrote in all caps, Spectre, which, as you know, is one of my favorite pedals that you've ever made. So I know it's discontinued, and I'm guessing it's discontinued because of the same reason the Womb Tone's discontinued, which is it didn't sell very well because flanger is a tough skew. But you tell me your perspective.
It's a tough skew. Yeah, it's a tough skew. Especially at 349. One thing about that pedal is that we never did surface mount assembly, which really helps with the cost and the margins. So we made almost no money on that pedal. And people fucking hated it well, I shouldn't say it. A lot of people thought it was horrible. And noisy and horrible. So it was kind of like, I feel like Spectre for me is like, is kind of like, this is a weird analogy, like Weezer's Pinkerton.
Okay.
I haven't mentioned yet that I stutter on the show, but that's what's happening when you hear me go Pinkerton. I'm a person who stutters, and that's
people. Yeah, I think people know.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's not a repeat listener, anyway. So what I mean by that is that when it came out, a lot of people thought it was really stupid, and now that and then I was like, okay, fine, I'll stop making it. You win. We're not making any money off of it anyway,
right?
Like whatever. And then now, like, you can't find them.
I'm glad I got on the train when I did. I recognize
you liked it at the beginning.
Yeah, I've had the purple knob, and I had never sent it to get modded because, like, I just kind of.
It's a different sound with the mod too. Like, I feel like I still prefer the purple version. It's just that I got so much heat and pressure. Like, I remember reading some Reddit thread one time, and I actually agreed with it. I was like, man, I suck. He's like, well, how could you release a $349 pedal that makes this kind of self noise? And like, it is a joke, and I should find it someday. But it was like, just
no, you don't need to find it. Don't go looking for that. That's not going to be good for anybody. Right.
Yeah, but I just remember reading it and being like, yeah, he's probably right.
So I have a different perspective, but I also use pedals I use them in a weird way. My board that I'm in the middle of setting up right now is very strange, to say the least. Okay. But I use a lot of dirt. I really like fuzz pedals, and yeah, on its own, Spectre was like, this is cool, but yeah, it's kind of noisy, and I understand that complaint. But I think people miss the magic. The magic to Spectre is when you pummel it with a bunch of fuzz.
And that was always my intent. Like, when I demoed it at Summer NAMM, we had a bit crusher. I think it was like 2015. I had a prototype. We had the Earthquaker bit commander, and I thought it just sounded amazing. But I remember, God, I'm just exposing myself about how sensitive and thin-skinned I am. I was reading comments on like the Premier Guitar video, and people are like, oh, you need to buy another $200 pedal to put in front of it to make it sound interesting. And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess.
That's just flanger in general, in my opinion, for the most part.
That's true.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite. And on the other favorite I have is... It's actually like the opposite of Spectre in a lot of weird ways, is the Mr. Black Shepherd's End. There's some similar sounds in it, but like still that one's like really quiet because Jack is Jack, and that's just how he is. But like it's a much simpler, easier to dial in thing. It's a 3-knobber, but even that one still, I think my favorite use of flange is with a ton of dirt. That's just what it
just loves to chew on that wide frequency range. And actually, Jack has some really great blog posts out there that when I was just getting into flange really taught me a lot about it. And I actually sent him a Spectre because I felt like his explanation of through zero flanging was really sort of instrumental in that pedal coming to life.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I've read those too. They helped me understand what was actually going on signal wise, because I could just explain it like everyone else. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a jet. Whoosh. Yep. But I didn't actually know what it was doing until I read those same exact blog posts. So yeah, people should definitely check those out for sure. All right, let's see what else we got in this thread. Let's see. This is an interesting question. Andrew Garrison. he says, I'd love to know how he landed on his pedal design format and how he managed to fit so many different types of circuits into the same clean size and layout. I think that's probably his greatest achievement, super standardized compact design. So yeah, how did you come up with that first? The Womb Tone was first, right?
Well, no, it was the Warp Vinyl, the first Warp Vinyl.
Warp Vinyl. That's right.
At some point, I realized that with the type of pedals I wanted to make, which was the digital control of analog technology, at least to start, that if you had a platform that you could have much of the same hardware, which I knew a little bit about manufacturing, and I knew that was really helpful. I also knew that one thing I hated when designing products was figuring out like what holes go where, and like it's so hard to get all that right. So what was nice is when I first developed the Warp Vinyl, I kind of knew that, you know, when I was ordering enclosures from whoever, I could be like, this is the exact layout for everything. And I knew that would help me a lot with manufacturing. Actually, I was really worried that people were going to hate it. Like people were going to think it was lazy. But because I knew that there was power in this platform I was creating, and I could do a lot of stuff with it and save myself a lot of headaches in developing future stuff. So I'm really like love the platform idea. That's the same kind of thing I'm going for with the Automaton line. So yeah, it was more just like, okay. And I love symmetry. So I love that it, you know, it's the same. It just, you know, you look in the mirror and it's the same. And so I just kind of like, well, I want it to be small. And at the time, believe it or not, having 2 foot switches on that size enclosure, 125B, was kind of crazy. Like a few people were doing it, but now it's like super, super widespread and like kind of like everybody does it. But at the time in 2013, it was pretty unusual to see that. And I just thought, how do I get a lot of options in a small space, and just really thought about it and measured stuff out. And I kind of knew the whole time that I really took my time and wanted to get things right as far as placement was concerned, because I was hoping to do a lot of different products with this same layout. So I guess the answer is like, I kind of knew that it would be beneficial for me to really think it out and get it right, for whatever that meant for me. And so, yeah,
I think that's a solid answer. I get it.
Okay.
I understand what you mean by this. So thank you for that.
Good.
Let's see. What else we got in here? Oh, we got 50 minutes. Okay, we got time for one more question from the group. Let me find a good one. Let's see here. Rick Calhoun. He says, how has working with other builders inspired you overall?
It's kind of just like everything for me now. It's building friendships, building relationships, and it's inspiring because I can see something that I suck at, and I can see something that someone else is awesome at, and then I can use the stuff I'm good at, and they can use the stuff they're good at, and we put it together and we can make something that I by myself would have never been able to make. And I'm just kind of addicted to that at this point, because I just think it makes the best products that I'm capable of when I team up.
I think it's I think, you know, some people, I think, view it as like, not you or like talking about your company, but I've tried to do collaborations with people before and they were like, no, I want it to all come from me. And I do understand that. Yeah. Like, because you view it as
how I started.
Yeah. Like, because you kind of view it as your baby, right? It's like your creative thing. It's like your song that you wrote in a one kind of way. But I think much like all the great bands, you know, are a collaborative effort. Not all, but a lot of great bands are a collaborative effort. I think also that can translate into this space as well. And I think you've done a great job with all of that. Personally, that's my my take on it.
Yeah, and I think it's one area where, in some ways I'm confident and in some ways I really lack self-confidence. And I think that it can be good and bad. And there are times when it's good because I don't really know what I'm trying to say. Just that I really do think it leads to the best thing that I can or we can offer, and just
Totally.
Egos are stupid. I don't need to make everything.
Egos are dumb. I wish I didn't have. Everyone has one. That's the weird part
Well,
that
yeah.
I didn't realize
And I
that.
do too.
It's impossible not to. In fact, going back to psychedelics, which I've again never experienced, but one of the things that I hear about them is they do erase your ego, which is an interesting concept because everyone does have one to a degree.
Yeah.
But
this will be the second podcast in a row I discussed magic mushrooms, but one of the last experience I've had, I just try to do them like once a year, is I was just pounding on the ground, like crying and saying I'm so selfish. And my friends were just laughing at me.
wow, that sounds intense.
Yeah, it is. It's not fun. I mean, it can be fun, but it's like, it's not the type of thing, I said this on the last podcast, where you wake up the next morning and say, oh, I want to do that again. It's like, nah,
Right.
I think I'm good for like a year or two, and you see, magic mushrooms, if you look on like, drugs that are addictive, it's like the least addictive drug because of that reason. It's not, it's different.
Yeah, you're not the only one that has told me that. I've heard that from that exact same explanation from many different sources. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anything different than that. That's what everyone says.
Mm-hmm. But that's good.
Well, I mean, it means it's consistent, right? That's solid. Yeah. It's not like, some people drink alcohol and they absolutely lose their mind. And some people can do it and then they go back to work and work on a few pedals later. Everyone responds to that one a little differently.
I've had 2 drinks. I'm halfway through this White Claws, but yeah, alcohol. What a terrible drug.
Which is why there's a policy on it, right?
Yes.
Anyway, let's see. We're about to the hour mark, and I have not let you put up a billboard. So I've got some new stuff that I do at the end of the podcast since you last came on. And one of the things is I let whoever I'm talking to say whatever they want to say. If there's something they've been trying to get off their chest, or if they just got some stuff they want to plug or whatever, this is your opportunity to do that.
What do I want to say? I don't know. Sometimes I just think, well, you know what? Here's what I want to say. I want to say that this is a hard year, and I think it's good to just give yourself a little bit of grace. I feel like I, in particular, it's just easy to beat yourself up over a lot of things. And it's good to reflect and think about what you could do better, or how you could be a better person or a better husband or a better father or a better boss. But we all are trying our best. And sometimes you just gotta watch some NBA basketball and have a beer and say, this is enough for right now.
I like that. That is a good reminder that we could all use. That is important. It sounds trivial,
I'm a big basketball fan.
Well, we'll have stuff to talk about on the Patreon section then. Wow, this is going to be fun. All right, so this is another new question that I've introduced at the end of episodes at the request of one of the longtime supporters of the podcast, Mr. Jason Fuzzmonger. Shout out, Jason. He's also a moderator in the Facebook group. He's amazing. But yeah, he introduced this to me, and I think it's a great question for people to answer. So anyway, here we go. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
VB2.
Oh, I think that might be a first. That was it. And everyone's much faster with this. I always thought that this was going to be a question where people were like, let me think. But almost everyone shoots it out just like you just did. Just like you just did.
That's fascinating too. Yeah.
So VB2, why the VB2? What do you like about it?
It's just that, this is the first experience I had with like a bucket brigade pitch vibrato. Really, it bringing me to a new emotional place is just very evocative and very, very special to me. It's just a sound that is really, really cool. That it hits me in a way that other things don't.
I like it. That's great. Well, so for the closing question, normally I would ask you about your pizza preferences, but we've talked about that the last couple times. Unless you've had new pizza experiences that you would like to explore, otherwise I'm going to throw something else at you.
Well, yeah, let's switch it up.
Okay, keeping it with food, not pizza, obviously. Other than pizza, what is one of your favorite foods?
I really love Thai food.
My man. Me too.
I think when we were together, we might have went to a Thai place. We went. Where did we go when we were together in Portland?
We went to a Thai place. We did. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Because we both like Thai food. And I think I texted you and you were like, so what do you want to eat? And I was like, well, I love Thai food. And you're like, I think it was a similar reaction. You're like, my man. And then let's go to this place. And we had a lovely time.
We did. It was great. And that was like, you looked at me and you were like, now I understand what you do. And I was like, you do? Because I barely understand it.
Yeah.
So
I was like, what is it you say that you do here?
That was a good time. Well, Joel, this was a delight. Thank you so much for coming on, and thanks for the support all year and everything that you do, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. I appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing, and it's an honor to be on, and I'm sure we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. For Joel, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Hi, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I did, although that's probably impossible. And if you would like more content, including more talk with me and Joel, that's right, I said me and Joel. I'm going to lean into it. None of that Joel and I stuff. It's me and Joel. Me and Joel are talking for extra time this week over on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/tonemob for $5 a month, you will get extra extended episodes to your ears every week, usually in the form of extended conversations with that week's guest. Sometimes there's other things, but usually that's what it is, and it's always a good time. And it helps support the show, keeps the lights on quite literally. If you can, that would be really, really appreciated. And if you can't, please just tell a friend. Tell somebody about the show. Every download counts. I know that you hear that from every single podcast that you listen to, but it is so, so important that you tell your friends, anybody you think that might be interested in these things, to download the podcast, and it will help so much. So thank you very much. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, folks. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.